Hello friends, welcome back to another lecture. Friends, I hope the previous lecture on anti-money laundering is clear to you. But if you have missed that lecture, then I would request you to watch that lecture as well. You will find link to that video in description to this lecture. Now friends, in this lecture, we will do a mock test on anti-money laundering and KYC. This mock test is very important for both JAIIB principles paper as well as anti-money laundering and KYC certification examination. You will find many questions of same format which are discussed in this mock test in your examination. So before moving ahead, don't forget to subscribe this YouTube channel since this is the only quality channel for all the bankers. Also join my Facebook group, which is a group of like-minded and goal-oriented aspirants. Apart from this, I also have a Telegram channel where I post lots of one-pagers, PDFs and daily important questions with respect to your examination. All the links to join are there in description to this video, so do join after you finish this lecture. So friends, let's start with today's mock test. And the first question is, what are principal sources of terrorist financing? And the first option is state financing. Then second option is legitimate modes like donations. Then third option is private funding. And last option D is all of the above. Now friends, we have already discussed terrorist financing in previous theory lecture. So please note there are three types of principal sources of terrorist financing. First is state financing. Now this happens in case of state sponsorship of terrorism. Friends, in such cases, separate entities are created with organizational and financial support of the state. The next is legitimate modes. Now friends, in this mode, organizations receive funds in the form of contributions or donations from businesses, individuals or some charity funds for their declared activities. And lastly, we have private funding also. Friends, another source of funds for terrorist activities is funds raised through criminal activities. Now, these are such criminal activities that involves large funds like bank robberies, drug trafficking, kidnapping, extortion, etc. So, as you can see, the correct option for the given question is option D. That is, all the options A to C are correct. Next question is, a month ago, Mr. Harish purchased an investment property in the name of a British Virgin Island company that is Jennifer Corps Limited through your bank. The transaction was completed by means of a cash payment of Rs 40 lakhs by Mr. Harish. Now you learned from the newspaper yesterday that Mr. Harish has been arrested for drug trafficking. What is the best course of action to be taken upon knowing the facts? And these options are given to you. That is, first option is make a suspicious transaction report to FIU about the transaction and the British Virgin Island company. Then second option is make a report to local police station about the transaction and the BVI company. Then third option C is no action is needed as the transaction took place some time ago. And last option D is close all the accounts of Mr. Harish. Now friends, please note British Virgin Island is a tax haven and most often laundered money is placed there. And since Mr. Harish is arrested on account of drug trafficking, then chances are that this Rs 40 lakhs also comes from drug trafficking only. But since you are not sure, thus you will simply file a STR to FIU about such transactions happening in your bank between Mr. Harish and British Virgin Island company. Thus the correct answer for the given question is option A. Now friends, before moving ahead with the lecture, if you are preparing for anti-money laundering certification, then please don't miss out this question bank on anti-money laundering and KYC. It contains super selected questions with case studies. Yes friends, special focus is on case studies since case studies are forming integral part of certification examination. So all the links are there in description to this video, so don't forget to get your copy today itself. Next question is, which of the following Venn diagrams correctly represents the three stages of money laundering? And these options are given to you. So friends, please carefully observe all these Venn diagrams. Now please recall in theory lecture we learned that all the three stages are not separate but often overlapping with each other. And friends, in fact this is done intentionally to disguise the audit trail of money to be laundered. So out of the three Venn diagrams, the correct option is option C, where all the three circles are overlapping with each other. Next question is, Mr. Murthy has been recently arrested for organizing a series of serious crimes. His wife, Mrs. Murthy, approaches your branch and asks you to close her gold loan accounts with cash deposits. Now the current overdue is Rs 15 lakhs. She also agrees to buy a life insurance policy of the bank if branch manager do a speedy work and hands over her gold ornaments quickly. However, you are aware of the fact that Mr. Murthy has been arrested. Should you quickly close the gold loan account and hand over the ornaments and thereby also earn commissions in form of purchase of life insurance policy? And these options are given to you. First option is yes, Mrs. Murthy is not arrested in this case. It should be legal to deal with her. Then second option B is yes, I just act as a banker for Mrs. Murthy and I should have no legal responsibility for her husband's act. Then third option C is no, the transaction may involve jewelry and money derived from criminal proceeds. I will also make a suspicious transaction report to FIU regarding this transaction. And last option D is no, annual closing is nearby and my advances will get reduced. Better to delay the transaction till April and deposit this amount into her savings. This way my advances will also not decrease and CASA is also increased. Now friends, this is a very good case study. Please note the suspicious activity indicators include first, husband arrested for crimes, then second, urgent disposal of property, cash or any loan, and lastly, transaction not consistent with normal business or commercial activities. So friends, in this case study, since you are aware that Mr. Murthy is arrested for serious crimes and suddenly Mrs. Murthy comes with rupees 15 lakh cash, then this must raise your eyebrows. And as we have learned in previous lecture that you must delay this transaction and should not fall for that life insurance policy trap. You must immediately file a STR with FIU also. Thus the correct answer for the given question is option C. Now friends, before moving ahead, don't forget to get your JAIIB resources from the links provided in description to this video. These first three are 1000 series question banks which are updated after every exam, that is after every 6 months. This next one is Secret Sauce Book, which is basically summarized notes of all the 3 papers. Now friends, this book will help you in finishing syllabus with least possible effort. And lastly, this 5th one is full-fledged case study book. It contains 400 plus case studies and all the case studies comes with detailed explanations. So all the links are there in description to this lecture, so don't miss out on these. Now let's move forward with our lecture. Next question is, a property dealer purchases rupees 2 crores property for rupees 1 crores and then secretly passes the balance to the seller. After holding the property for some time, the launderer sells it to its true value of rupees 2 crores. This way of money laundering is called, and these options are given to you. Now friends, this type of money laundering where property is first bought at a very low price and then held for some time, after which again sold at market rate, is basically value tampering. So the correct option for the given question is option D. Next question is, in which of the following case a suspicious transaction report might not be necessary? First is a customer who deposits money of suspicious origin and refuses to answer questions from the financial institution staff. Then second option B is a customer who tries to move money that is suspected of being derived from criminal activity. Then third option C is a customer who owns a petrol pump and deposits large amount of cash several times a day. And last option D is a customer whose account is showing transaction activities which are beyond his known financial capability. Now friends, I hope you can easily answer this question. Well, out of all the given answer choices, option C is the one where STR is not necessary. Since in the business of petrol pump, cash is deposited frequently, and thus it's obvious that they will also deposit the same in bank multiple times a day depending upon sales. Thus in such cases, filing STR is not necessary. Now friends, this is the case in any such business activity where cash transactions are huge. Next question is, what is willful blindness? And the first answer choice is failing to file a suspicious transaction report for dealing with companies or financial institutions from offshore tax havens. Then second answer choice is not following customer due diligence measures in organization. Then third option C is deliberate avoidance of knowledge of facts or ignoring obvious money laundering red flags. And last option D is deliberately delaying a customer transaction. Well friends, the correct answer to the given question is option C. Willful blindness is in fact very common in banking institutions. Please recall the example which we saw in previous lecture where your branch manager immediately accepted cash deposit worth rupees 40 lakhs and also agreed to deposit this cash in different accounts on different dates. Now this is nothing but the case of willful blindness. Manager himself knows that this is the case of STR, but still guides the customer to deposit in such a way so that STR is not necessary. Next question is, in anti-money laundering terminology, a red flag is, and the first answer choice is, a warning sign indicating potentially suspicious, risky transactions or activities. Then second option B is a general banking term used once the balance is negative or overdue. Then third option C is the standard flag of countries not cooperating in fighting money laundering and terrorist activities. And last option D is an indicator that a customer is listed on an economic sanctions list. Now friends, this one is also easy. I hope you all know what a red flag is. This is basically a warning sign indicating potentially suspicious, risky transactions or activities. Thus the correct option for the given question is option A. Next question is, Joint Financial Intelligence Unit, that is JFIU, has developed a safe approach to assist in identifying suspicious transactions and business activities. And these answer choices are given to you. Now friends, this we have learned in previous theory lecture. Please recall that SAFE stands for, S stands for screen the customer and transaction for suspicious activity indicators. Then A stands for ask the customer appropriate questions to clarify suspicious circumstances. Then F stands for find out whether the transaction commensurate with what is expected from the customer by reviewing the information already known to the customer. And lastly, E stands for evaluate all the above information and decide whether the transaction relating to the customer is genuinely suspicious. So hope by now you can mark the correct answer. The correct answer choice for the given question is option C. The next question is, the term Havala is a dash word and these answer choices are given to you. Now friends, this is a fact-based question and not much explanation is required here. So please remember that Havala is basically an Arabic word. So the correct answer for the given question is option C. Next question is, Anirban Mukherjee wants to conduct a transaction involving Rs 12 lakhs in cash. However, knowing that depositing it all in once would exceed the cash reporting threshold of Rs 10 lakhs in cash and would trigger the filing of a currency transaction report. So he goes to 3 different banks and deposits Rs 4 lakhs in each. This is an example of, and the first question is Havala, then second option is scripting, then third option is typology, and last option D is structuring. Now friends, this also we have learned in methods of money laundering in previous lecture. So please recall that designing a transaction to evade triggering a reporting or record keeping requirement is basically structuring. Now structuring is in fact the most commonly known money laundering method. Now also note here that a common technique involving structuring is called smurfing, which involves multiple individuals making multiple cash deposits and buying multiple money laundering instruments or bank drafts in the amounts under the reporting threshold in an attempt to evade detection. So for this question, the correct answer is option D, that is structuring. Next question is, as per rule 3 of PMLA, every reporting entity maintains the record of, first statement is all cash transactions of value of more than Rs 10 lakhs or its equivalent in foreign currency. Then second statement is all series of cash transactions integrally connected to each other which have been individually valued below Rs 10 lakhs or its equivalent in foreign currency where such series of transactions have taken place within a month or the monthly aggregate exceeds an amount of Rs 10 lakhs or its equivalent in foreign currency. Then third statement is all transactions involving receipts by non-profit organizations of value more than Rs 10 lakh and its equivalent in foreign currency. And last statement 4 is all cash transactions where forged or counterfeit currency notes or bank notes have been used as genuine or where any forgery of a valuable security or a document has taken place facilitating the transactions. Now friends, these answer choices are also given to you. Now friends, this is also a fact-based question. And please remember that all the statements 1 to 4 are correct. So please remember all these points since this may come in your examination in any format. So the correct option for the given question is option D. The next question is, a person in country A wants to transfer some black money to someone in country B and he gives the money to the broker in country A. The agent accepts it and calls up his colleague in country B. His colleague gives the money in country B's currency to person in country B to whom it has been transferred. An identification code is also requested, ensuring the authenticity of receiver. The broker and agents in this whole transaction are referred to as, now these answer choices are given to you. First is mid agents, then second option is Havaladars, then third option C is black agents, and last option D is black brokers. Now friends, please note Havala system works with a network of operators called Havaladars or Havala agents. So for execution of a Havala transaction, a customer contacts a Havala agent at the source location. Then the Havala agent at that end collects money from the person who wishes to make a transfer. After this, the agent calls up his counterpart in the country where the transfer is to be made. This counterpart then hands over the cash to the recipient after deducting his commission. Finally, the source agent promises to settle the debt to the destination agent through an informal settlement. So friends, I hope by now you can identify the correct option. The correct option for the given question is option B. Next question is, Mr. Singh came to your bank and asked to set up a trust account for charitable purposes. The aim is to help underprivileged children in Africa with their education. After the trust is formed, donations were received from overseas countries and money was sent to various African countries for building schools. A few months later, Mr. Singh instructed you to telegraphic transfer Rs 1 crore to a personal bank account opened in a country known to be a terrorist concern. Now, Mr. Singh said that the money is to buy material to build schools in Africa. What should you do? And the answer choices are, first, proceed with the transaction which you consider is relevant for the purpose of the trust. Then second answer choice is, refuse the transaction but do not report to FIU. The next option is, make a STR to file FIU because transaction is not in line with the normal activities of the trust. And last option D is, proceed with the transactions as Mr. Singh is a valuable customer of the bank. Now friends, though Mr. Singh might be a valuable customer to the bank, but you as a banker must do your due diligence. Since this transfer is related to a country which is known for terrorist activities, thus this transaction may be related to terrorist activities. So as a banker, you must report to FIU here. So the correct answer choice for the given question is option C. Next question is, which of the following transactions will be considered structuring? And the first option is, a customer conducts 3 wire transfers for Rs 4 lakh each on same day instead of one transaction for Rs 12 lakhs and refuses to provide the required information. Then second option B is, a customer receives 10 payments of Rs 2 lakh each on same day and doesn't provide the required information. Then third option C is, one receiver collects the transactions from the same sender on consecutive days that total more than Rs 10 lakhs and doesn't provide many apparent reasons for doing so. And last option D is all of the above. Friends, we have already learned what structuring is. Thus, if you carefully notice all the given transactions, then you will see that all the transactions are example of structuring. Thus, if you carefully notice all the given transactions, then you will see that all the transactions are example of structuring in one form or the other. Thus, the correct option for the given question is option D. Next question is, havens for money laundering and terrorist financing have. Now, these 4 statements are given to you. First statement is a weak AML or CFT regime. Then second statement is some or many financial institutions that are not covered by anti-money laundering or counter-financial terrorist framework. Then third statement is little, weak or selective enforcement of AML or CFT provisions. Then fourth statement is ineffective penalties including difficult confiscating provisions. And fifth statement is a limited number of predicate crimes for money laundering. Now these answer choices are also given to you. Friends, this is also a very good question. Please remember that havens for money laundering has all the features given from points 1 to 4. So the correct option for the given question is option D here. Next question is, the key element for KYC policy of RBI are, first is the customer acceptance policy, that is CAP. Then second is risk management, that is RM. Then third is customer identification procedure, that is CAIIB. And last option D is all of the above. Now friends, this is also a fact-based question, and please remember that the key elements of the policy are, first is the customer acceptance policy, that is CAP, then risk management, that is RM for short, then customer identification procedure, that is CAIIB in short, and lastly monitoring of transaction, that is TM in short. So the correct option for the given question is option D here. Next question is, the prescribed periodicity for periodic KYC updation of various risk categories are. Now this data is given to you. In first column there is risk category and second column there is periodicity. And the first statement is, for high risk category the periodicity is 2 years. Then for medium risk category the periodicity is 8 years. And lastly for low risk category the periodicity is 10 years. And these answer choices are also given to you. Now friends, here please note that RBI has mandated banks to periodically update different risk category accounts. So for high risk category it's every 2 years, for medium risk it's 8 years, and for low risk it's 10 years. So the correct option for the given question is option D. Next question is, which of the following is true with respect to submission of reports to FIU-IND? And these 4 statements are given to you. And the first statement is cash transaction report, that is CTR. It is to be submitted by 15th of next month. Then next is suspicious transactions report, that is STR. And the timeline is within 7 days of a transaction determined as suspicious. Then third is counterfeit currency report, that is CCR, and the timeline is 15th of next month. And lastly, non-profit organization transaction report, that is NTR, and the timeline is by 15th of next month. Now these answer choices are also given to you. Friends, this is also a very important question, and questions are usually asked from different reports. Now the correct answer for the given question is option D, that is facts given with respect to different reports in all the statements are true. So please remember all these important facts. So friends, finally we have reached the last question of this mock test, and the question goes like this. Accounts opened using OTP based E-KYC in non-face-to-face mode are subjected to which of the following conditions? And these 4 statements are given to you. First statement is, there must be a specific consent from customer for authentication through OTP. Then second statement is, the aggregate of all credit in a financial year in all the deposit accounts taken together shall not exceed rupees 2 lakhs. Then third statement is, as regard to borrower accounts, only term loans shall be sanctioned. Then third statement is, as regards to borrower accounts, only term loans shall be sanctioned. And also the aggregate amount of term loans sanctioned shall not exceed rupees 60,000 in a year. And last statement is, if CDD procedure is not completed within a year in respect of deposit accounts, the same shall be closed immediately. And also in respect of borrower accounts, no further debits shall be allowed. Now these answer choices are also given to you. Now friends, this is also a very good fact-based question, and the correct answer choice for the given question is option D. That is, all the statements 1 to 4 are correct. So friends, I hope all the questions and case studies are clear to you. Don't forget to like this video if you love the concepts and questions discussed in this lecture. At last, get your books from the links provided in description to this lecture. So thank you, and I will meet you again in another lecture.